went back to Haiti and I work as an accountant. While I was working as an accountant, I couldn't wait every day to go back to my place and to write some poem. And then I applied for and I got published some. When you get published, it's kind of like saying like, oh, someone thinks that my thing is good, and then yeah, that's why. But it was always something I wanted to do, but I was too scared to do it.
Fingers fly from hands like disturbed pigeons on a busy street. The music doesn't skip a beat of a body. Lambs, veins, fibers, all playing the instruments of strings of air and space and light. Her shoulders bared, collapse and the pirouette leaving her hair floating. Gold dust smoke from the Marlboro Man in his later days. The air is changing. The face in the mirror does not match the fresh and full legs shown on the tutu in the photograph. The roses stop coming and her name becomes smaller and the flowers. But her body, incredulous, follows no more her will. Nothing's changed, the birds still fly and silent endures. A couple greets the lady at the corner, fingers with still, impertinent, bony. Absence weights as much as presence when time is added and the equations reverse. Verses dissolve just as the wind starts and hair tunes into eroding dust. Time swallows its circle, 360 degrees when the arc of the spotlight lasts no more than 30 years if corrected with plastic. Tonight the lights dim over her aging skin. The public hasten its applause, impatient to see the new revelation. The all smile, red lips, considerably younger, master of glisse and perfect plie. No standing ovation.
Other questions?
Oh, okay. You said about being interested in dance or something like that. Why is that?
I'm interested about art, really, but any type of art, but dance has something about it. Because most of people dancing, they have like a music and way they move body. I think it's more of like I envy them. I wish I could dance like that. And so I look at the way they express body, and when you're looking at someone dancing, it's like singing and writing poetry combined because their body is trying to tell a story. And then it's really you feel when you're looking at someone dancing, you feel like you're really with that person because you're trying to understand what the person is trying to convey without words or without sound. And it's something that is really strong.
Poem called Perehir. We don't have it here. Uh, this one was published by the Brainchild when I was an undergraduate student in Kent. And something happened in 1937 where one president, Dominican president, killed a lot of Haitians because they were Haitian and because of their skin colors and the way they speak. So the way he did it, it's because Dominicans are not, they are lighter skinned than Haitians, but some of them are as we are. But for them to know who were Haitians and who were not, they use a word called perehir. I cannot pronounce it. This pronunciation is not right. Uh, and perehir is parsley and English is the word for parsley. But the pronunciation of the
Parsley.
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 Yes, parsley. The pronunciation of the J in Spanish, it's really hard for someone who is not a Spanish speaker, not a true Spanish speaker. So it's perejil. You have to do that. But Haitian will say perejil. They will not roll the tongue with J. And uh, if you cannot, if you couldn't pronounce it well, they will kill you. And it was a massacre, like Petty Hill. On October 3rd, 1937, one road killed 25,000. Two lovers were caught in the act. Baronet pierced her belly while it came in blood and fear. Bodies floated in the river like crumpled leaves. The fall matched their contrast perfectly. The babies thrown into empty space giggled for a second before they met the end of a spear. In San Juan, the fish cry, blood, the comrades waving between corpses. The frogs leapt at the shore of the river, they could not stomach the eyes of the dead. Cleanse the borders, Twilio said. Painted in blood, the people chanted. And Haitians saturated the fertilizer for the sugarcane they planted that morning. Under the complicit eyes of FDR, Tuilio and Stenio shook hands and set the price. $21 per person on paper. Done deal. From the Habon to Mocha, no black men stand. Those left were piled in trucks and dumped in the sea. The numbers we will never know. They were not part of the deal. They were wasted money.
About how long does it usually take you to write like a poem and it's like fine?
A poem, for me, a poem is never done. I always go back and work on it again. Yeah, it's always like that. I will this poem and I will change something. Like the poems I got published, I change things on them. I'll just like, I don't like that word. I might use another word. But sometimes I will just wake up in the middle of the night. I will write things, get it done, and then I'll go and work on it again. But the essence of the poem is there. And sometimes it takes 6 months. I'm working on the poem since October.
Thank
And the last one, I'm working on my thesis, and thesis it's going to be a conversation between me and my mother. My mother was my age when she had me, uh, and she was living in Haiti. She didn't go to school, so she had a complete different life than I'm having right now. So I want to have that relate to see those two different lives on paper, and I'm trying to get a call and response poem with her and me, and telling me how life was and how I'm seeing life right now. And this poem was kind of my grandmother died when my mother was really young. And she would always say that I didn't have the chance to know my mother. And she always talk about how wise my grandmother was. People would tell her. And so I wrote her words, it's kind of like my mother and the situation of my mother and my grandmother saying those things that my grandfather would tell my mom. And so her words, it's for a daughter. Her words. This is not a poem, just words she forgot to erase on the chalkboard of her past. Except from a message intercepted by a soldier who refuses to return home. She was right. Poems are for when we are old, and silence is all that is left. They are our truth, our word to salvation, our godly words that Jesus and Muhammad did not receive. Lyrics of a Led Zeppelin song sung by a mariachi band under the windows of the homeless. The smile she hid behind her, and each agonizing breath behind, lullabies quelling you to sleep. This is not a poem, they are the last couplets of a journal left unuttered. They are the epitaph I would write on a grave if I could afford the stone. Yeah, and love poem, I try to kind of stay away from love poem because it's not like my fault. It's not my fault, and it's not something I'm good at. But I do try, and it's always all of my love poems are always sad.
like yeah, look, I'm a poet, so that's if you're trying to be a poet, get ready for it.
That's how you get the girls, guys. You gotta write them a sad poem,
It's not
and then
working.
they know you got a
It's not
big heart.
working.
Not working yet.
Yet. Yeah. So yeah, and I wrote this poem. I was friend with when I was in the graduate, I was friend with I had a friend, and she was in a really bad relationship with someone. Uh, but I was really I liked her while she was in this relationship, and I was feeling really powerless to get her out of this relationship. So I wrote this poem. It's called "The Woman in Silent Tear," and this is the closest I can get to love poem. The Woman in Silent Tears. The first time I saw you, you looked bored, like an extra sitting to a scene for the 10th time. Your stare fixed into nowhere and no one. You did not notice the eyes of that poor boy. After the reading he approached you, I saw you state your name, expect him to leave, but he stayed. Gushly told a joke on how he would run away from you if he were smarter than his feet. I was I came closer, turned my head and forgot that I was invisible. How long has it been since someone took a good look at you, approached you, mumbled that you're Ellen of Troy? The look in his eyes resembled the one you gave me last night when my fingers tingled into your hair and my head lay rested uncomfortably on your thighs. You look at me the same way that a mother looks at her son shaving for the first time. Later, you told him how you had given all to the past only to receive this present filled with distance, though it is better than any slivable smoke. I wonder if he knew that you would never be his, that when he smiled, his teeth were no longer white. His hands stopped wagging and his lips turned livid. His eyes reflected the fear of all the men hanging in the past. He left before you could get the first joke.